The first month of baseball has been absolutely insane. We've had historic cycles, plays that have never happened in the history of baseball, insane new records, bad new records, historic innovation, and even debatably the best start to a season in MLB history. We're just 1 month into the season, and baseball has never been more exciting. Almost as exciting as these results right here, people are making free money betting on sports. We're talking about thousands per month. The secret? They're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app, it's a tool that flips the system in your favor using something called arbitrage betting. Here's how it works. OddsJam scans hundreds of sports books 24/7 to find discrepancies in odds. You bet both sides of a game, and no matter who wins, you lock in a profit. It's not gambling, it's math. Let me give you a real example. Put $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel. At the same time, place $335 on San Francisco on DraftKings. Boom, you're now guaranteed $50 profit no matter who wins the game. That's just one play. With the OddsJam app, you'll get real-time alerts on opportunities like this every single day, and people are turning them into thousands in monthly profit. To get started, use code UNI35 for 35% off, plus a 7-day free trial. If you don't profit during the trial, cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave free money sitting out there. Head to oddsjam.com, use code UNI35, and start making money the smart way. But before we get to the content, I truly appreciate all your support in this channel, and I wouldn't be able to do this without it. So please leave a like and subscribe because we are passionate in bringing you the latest MLB analysis. Now that that's out of the way, let's dive right into it. Before we get into the month's recap, it's time to talk about the best team in baseball. Well, instead of talking about just the best team, it's time to talk about the best teams. More specifically, it's time to officially introduce the Uni Diamond Talk Power Rankings for the first time. Starting off at number 1, we have the New York Mets, the team in baseball that as of right now boasts the best winning percentage in all of baseball. At the beginning of the season, we probably would have thought Juan Soto would be the leading charge for the Mets. And although he has been solid, the real leader of the team so far is without a doubt Pete Alonso. At the time of recording this, Alonso leads the NL with an OPS north of 1,000 and an OPS plus of 212. Funny enough, just 28 games into the season, Alonso is sporting nearly 2 B WAR, which is nearly the entire B WAR he accumulated all of last season. Also, before moving on, I need to shout out the Mets pitching staff, which currently has a team ERA of 2.53, with Kodai Senga leading the charge with a sub 1.3 ERA and an ERA plus north of 300. Second on the list has to be the Detroit Tigers, who I know made the playoffs last season, and I know they got back Jack Flaherty, but did anyone expect them to be one of the best teams in baseball? Spencer Torkelson has completely changed as a player, rocking a team-leading 165 OPS plus. Zach McKinstry is close behind with a 162 OPS plus, and an AL leading 3 triples. Not to mention, Javier Baez, one of the worst contracts in baseball, has been hot to start the year, hitting a shocking 300. Plus, on top of this, 4 Tiger starters currently have an ERA under 3, with Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, Jackson Jobe, and Jack Flaherty all having ERAs in the mid to lower 2s. Third on the list is going to obviously be the Los Angeles Dodgers, who honestly will probably end up being number 1 on this list at the end of the season. They currently have 3 players with OPSs north of 900, those 3 being Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been lights out this season, leading the NL in ERA with a 1.06 spot in 6 games. You might have also noticed people online say Roki Sasaki has been terrible to start the season, which I will be honest, he did have a rocky first start, but as of right now, his season's ERA is still a solid 3.55. Also, Tanner Scott, who is just one of many large free agency signings the Dodgers made, has been one of the best closers in baseball, racking up 8 saves with an ERA in the mid-2s. Moving on, number 4 on the list is going to be the San Francisco Giants. This is already the second NL West team on this list, and it makes sense why. As of the time of this recording, the Giants are tied with the Mets for most wins in baseball, and it's mainly because Young-Ho Lee has been one of the best hitters on the planet. Plus, Matt Chapman has been one of the best third basemen in all of baseball. It's still insane to think that that this man was somehow unsigned during spring training of last season. Also, I have no idea what they've been feeding Mike Yastrzemski this season, but he's on pace for the best season of his entire career by a wide margin. The pitching will eventually level out, but of course Logan Webb has been nails as usual. Fifth on the list is the New York Yankees for the most obvious reason ever. I could just sit here and say Aaron Judge this, Aaron Judge that, Aaron Judge did this, Aaron Judge did that, but we all already know just how dominant he's been this season. Instead, I want to use this power ranking time to highlight other guys on the team. Like for example, Trent Grisham, who's casually sporting an OPS north of 1,000, or Ben Rice, who has shockingly turned into one of the best DHs in all of baseball. A 37-year-old Paul Goldschmidt has also casually turned back the clock, hitting over 360. Now, the pitching side has been a bit rocky, but Max Fried has been the ace the Yankees were looking for, as his ERA plus is north of 270. He also has easily filled the #1 spot in the rotation after Garrett Cole went down before the season. Sixth on the Uni Diamond Talk power rankings is going to be the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have had some of the most entertaining games in baseball this year, especially the insane game they had with the Dodgers, ending with a combined run total of over 20. Carson Kelly has been insane, even managing to hit for the first cycle of the season. But more importantly, trade acquisition Kyle Tucker has been otherworldly. If the Cubs can't find a way to extend him, he might get over $500 million. But as of right now, his OPS is nearly 1,000, and that's without mentioning his stellar defense in right field. On the pitching side of things, Shota Imanaga is doing Shota Imanaga things, and Matthew Boyd has been phenomenal. If he can stay healthy, he will be one of the best offseason acquisitions in recent memory. Seventh on the list is yet again another NL West team, this time the San Diego Padres. On paper, there is an incredible amount of talent. Fernando Tatis is currently tied for the lead in MLB WAR with 2.2. Aside from that, the bats haven't been producing much, especially with Jackson Merrill on the IL, but the pitching staff has been lights out. Michael King has a 2.18 ERA, including a complete game shutout, and Nick Pivetta is working with a 1.20 ERA. If the bats wake up on this team, they could easily compete with the Dodgers and Giants for the division crown. Number 8 on the power rankings goes to the Diamondbacks, the fourth and final NL West team on this list. The NL West is so deep, it's actually insane. The D-backs might be hovering around 500 right now, and I think their win-loss record will suffer due to an insane NL West division, but I think right now their lack of wins have to do mainly with pitching. As of right now, only Brandon Pfaadt is the only starting pitcher on the roster with an ERA under 4. That of course includes Zach Allen, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Corbin Burns. But let's be honest, those guys are all amazing pitchers, and they'll get better as the season progresses. Offensively, Corbin Carroll is leading the way with an NL leading 667 slug and an OPS above 1,000. Pavin Smith isn't far behind either, as he's also showcasing an OPS of 1,103. Keep in mind, we haven't even talked about Eugenio Suarez yet, who has 10 home runs, which is tied for most in the NL. Not just that, but he's even made history. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Number 9 on the list, we have the Texas Rangers. I think after a disappointing 2024, the Rangers are back on track to make a competitive run in the AL West. Corey Seager is doing Corey Seager things. Wyatt Langford has been on fire to start the season, and the two Joshes, Josh Young and Josh Smith, have also been massive offensive contributors as well. On the mound, Jacob deGrom and Nate Eovaldi have been excellent, but the real highlight for the Rangers has to be Tyler Mahle, who currently leads the AL in ERA, putting up a 1.14 ERA. I also want to mention Nate Eovaldi, aka Nasty Nate, who managed to throw the first Maddox of the season. For those who don't know, a Maddox is a complete game shutout thrown in under 100 pitches. And rounding out the top 10 on the power rankings is going to be the Phillies. I just think there's way too much talent on this team for them to be hovering around 500. No, I don't think they'll compete with the Mets long term, but my goodness, with all of the talent they have, they need to be a wildcard team at the very least. Bryce Harper has been solid so far, but he's going to get even better later in the season because, well, he's Bryce Harper. Nick Castellanos, Byron Stott, and Kyle Schwarber all have OPS pluses at or above 120. And while Alec Boehm has been terrible, and I mean terrible, I do think he'll end up being at least a league average hitter by the end of the season. As for the pitching, Jesus Luzardo has been incredible. So incredible that he's currently leading all pitchers in the NL in B WAR. I can't say the same thing for Aaron Nola, however, who currently is winless with 5 losses and is currently sporting an ERA in the mid-5s. But I do expect that to improve as time goes on. That'll be the end of my monthly power rankings, but it is time for my personal favorite segment of the video, Beyond the Box Score. Beyond the Box Score is a segment where I rapidly go over monthly statistical highlights, funny moments, insane plays, basically anything you couldn't know just by looking at the box score. But more importantly, if I miss anything, make sure to leave it in the comments below. First off, I want to start off with some rapid fire opening day fun facts. Firstly, Spencer Torkelson became the first player in MLB history with a home run and 4 walks on opening day. Next, Mackenzie Gore became the first pitcher since Bob Gibson back in 1967 to allow 0 runs, surrender 0 walks, and strike out 13 batters on opening day. But of course, the Nats lost the game. The Phillies became the first team to strike out on opening day 19 times and somehow still won. Next, Tyler O'Neill, of course, extended his record for consecutive opening day home runs, hitting this opposite field bomb for Baltimore. Austin Wells made similar history on opening day as he became the first catcher in MLB history to hit a leadoff home run. Finally, Wilyer Abreu became the first player in MLB history since the RBI became an official stat to reach base every time, drive in 4+ runs, score or drive in all of his team runs, hit a game-tying home run, and hit a go-ahead home run in the 9th inning or later. Now that we've covered opening day, let's cover the entire month. The first thing I thought that was hilarious was that the Miami Marlins walked off the Pirates not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. This marks the first time since 1924 a team has been walked off 3 times in a row to start the season. What makes this so funny? Well, back in 1924, the team this happened to was also the Pittsburgh Pirates. As previously mentioned, Nate Eovaldi managed to throw the first Maddox of the season. But what's even cooler is that Carson Kelly became the first Cub in over 30 years to hit for the cycle. While staying on the Cubs, Pete Crow Armstrong has been insane. People expected him to take the next step this season, but he's taken a leap, leading the NL in stolen bases and putting up an OPS plus of 140. Speaking of prospects, Jackson Merrill, Ketel Marte, and Christian Campbell were all extended on the same day. But just staying on Christian Campbell for a second, the Red Sox rookie not only broke Ted Williams' streak of making it on base to begin his career, but he also is an early favorite to win the AL Rookie of the Year award. But now for the topic you've all been waiting for, torpedo bats. Torpedo bats have been putting the baseball world on notice, but if I'm being honest with you, I'm not sure why. Giancarlo Stanton used one last postseason, and basically every team except the Angels experimented with them in spring training. Basically, the torpedo bat is just a bat that takes the wood from the end of the bat and puts it in the barrel to get better quality of contact when the ball hits the barrel. But before I get back into the current MLB season, let's go to the minor leagues real quick. The Portland Sea Dogs and Hartford Yard Goats both completed 5-6-3 double plays in the same inning. The crazy part, they did it on the same pitch, off the same deflection, and on the same play. I have never seen anything like this in my life. Now back to the MLB. The Atlanta Braves have been absolutely terrible, and it might get even worse. At the time of this video, the Braves are 3 games under 500, and after Spencer Strider worked his way back to the mound, he's already landed himself back on the 15-day IL. Not to mention, current NL Cy Young winner Chris Sale has been, let's just say, rough out of the gates. But the reason it gets even worse is because after Jared Kelenic got thrown out after not hustling towards first base, franchise cornerstone Ronald Acuna, who's currently on the IL, made a post on Twitter basically calling out his manager for having a double standard. Acuna's post reads, "If it were me, they would take me out of the game." We'll see how this plays out during the season, but as of right now, Atlanta might be in some trouble. Now, at least there is some good news out of Atlanta. Alex Verdugo, who couldn't find a contract this offseason anywhere before signing a 1-year deal with the Braves, has been putting up impressive numbers for them to start the season. Moving on, I can't help but mention Aaron Judge. I just have to. The Yankee slugger currently leads the AL in everything. No, like seriously everything, except ironically home runs. He currently leads in hits, RBIs, runs, average, OBP, slug, OPS, OPS plus, total bases, basically any offensive metric you could think of, Aaron Judge is leading the league in it. Obviously, Aaron Judge isn't going to hit 400 this season, but don't be shocked if Judge wins the triple crown this year, leading the AL in home runs, RBIs, and average. Moving on to a not so stellar start to the season, let's talk about Emmanuel Clase, the man who got Cy Young votes and was statistically a 567% more effective pitcher than the league average pitcher last year, has been terrible. So terrible, he's been relieved of his closing role in favor of Cade Smith. Clase's ERA is in the 7s, and he's currently rocking a negative B WAR. But let's hop back to a positive closer news. Aroldis Chapman is 37 years old and somehow still pumping 103 miles per hour. I don't know how much longer this tomfoolery will be going on, but I just wanted to shout out Chapman for a second because that is an insane accomplishment. Another thing that needs to be talked about is Mike Trout. I think it's obvious Trout sees the end of his career coming up, and it seems like he's adjusting his plan at the plate in order to chase the famous 400 home run mark. Trout is already at 9 long balls this season, but he's batting under 200. His strikeout rate has increased, and it seems like now more than any other point in his career, he's selling out for home runs. For his sake, I really do hope he hits the 400 homer mark. Speaking of veterans, let's focus on Aaron Nola for a second. As previously mentioned, his ERA has ballooned up to over 5. And while I do expect it to get lower, I think we've seen the last of prime Aaron Nola. The velocity on all of his pitches are down, which is rough considering he's currently in year 2 of a deal that'll keep him in Philadelphia until 2030. Now, let's get back to a positive note. Well, it's positive unless you're a Rangers fan, that is. Check out this little league home run by Helio Ramos, who just keeps running around the bases as the Rangers keep throwing the ball away. If you don't love baseball after something like this, I don't know what will convince you. Actually, maybe this will. In late April, Eugenio Suarez had 4 at-bats versus the Braves and made all 4 count, hitting a home run in each at-bat. But here's the kicker. The Diamondbacks still lost, meaning Eugenio Suarez became the 3rd man in MLB history to hit 4 home runs in a game and still lose. Staying on a losing note, how about the Baltimore Orioles? In 2023, the O's won over 100 games and won the AL East. In 2024, they won 91 games and made the wild card. But in 2025, they're downright terrible. Their pitching staff is old, their bats are cold, and Gunnar Henderson is struggling coming off the IL. As of right now, the Orioles sit at the bottom of the AL East, and as they continue to lose, it's going to become more difficult day by day to get out of this hole. Sticking in the AL East, I want to talk one last time about the Boston Red Sox. More specifically, Jarren Duran, who not only stole home plate, but also was heckled by a fan telling him to hurt himself. This is notable because Jarren Duran is a guy who's revealed his mental health struggles publicly in the past and is still fighting that battle to this day. So if you or a loved one is struggling with their mental health, make sure to reach out, call someone you love, and remember, you're always important to somebody. But before we end this segment, I want to take a quick second to acknowledge some rookies who are absolutely raking. Remember Christian Campbell, the favorite to win AL Rookie of the Year? Well, he's currently slashing 305, 412, and 474 with an OPS plus of 152. Another rookie I want to acknowledge is A's shortstop Jacob Wilson, who also has a similar slash line of 324, 336, and 467. I would like to see him walk a little bit more, but for now, this is going to be a fun battle for the AL Rookie of the Year award. But that'll conclude Beyond the Box Score. Now it's time to find out who the game is missing, or in other words, why your favorite team hasn't been living up to expectations. This segment is pretty self-explanatory. It's time to go over some big name injuries and when they can be expected to return to your favorite team. First, before I get into the real news, I just want to mention Freddie Freeman's shower injury. I know he's back and going off already in Los Angeles, but I can't help but imagine a 6'4" Freddie Freeman just falling in the shower and having to call Dave Roberts Roberts to tell him he hurt himself. Okay, but that's enough of Freddie Freeman. First, I want to talk about the previously mentioned Baltimore Orioles. Unfortunately, it was just announced that Colton Cowser and Grayson Rodriguez, two young and very important parts of this Baltimore team, were placed on the 60-day IL. What this means is that the soonest these two can be back is right before the All-Star break. Another person I want to mention in this segment is Patrick freaking Corbin. If you don't know why I'm so juiced up over Patrick Corbin, a guy who's been terrible since 2019, it's because in April, he was bitten by a mysterious venomous animal the night before his start in Arizona, but decided to play through it and pitch the game anyways. That is just insane. And if I'm his teammate and see him pitch through an injury like that, I'm going to give 110% effort. But back to some more notable injuries. Blake Snell has landed on the 15-day IL with some shoulder inflammation, and after an MRI, doctors found nothing new. Snell says he still doesn't feel great, so it might be a while until we see the former two-time Cy Young winner back on the mound. Sticking with the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw is scheduled to make another rehab start in Tulsa at the end of the month, so hopefully he can be back by the end of May. As for Tyler Glasnow, he's left consecutive starts with shoulder inflammation, so keep an eye out on that. If I was the Dodgers, I'd put him on a 15-day IL just to evaluate him because they cannot afford to lose him for a large portion of the season. Also, just a quick update on Shohei Ohtani. He did throw a small bullpen session earlier this month and is making small steps to get back to pitching, so hopefully we can see him back on the mound by All-Star break. Another big name that's been sidelined since the beginning of the season is Ronald Acuna Jr. As we all know, Acuna tore his ACL in May of last year, and he's still rehabbing it slowly as he returned to normal outfield drills in mid-April. Hopefully he can get back soon because the Braves desperately need a good bat injected into the middle of this lineup. And instead of a player, I want to talk about a team, specifically the San Diego Padres. The Padres currently have 11 players on the IL. Guys like Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, Luis Arias, and Brandon Lockridge are all missing key games right now, but are expected to be back by mid-May. That is specifically why, despite being third place in the NL West, the Padres are on my power rankings. I just believe that once all of this talent comes back, the W's will just start pouring in for San Diego. Moving up north on the West Coast, it's time to talk about the pair of aces up in Seattle, Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. Gilbert left his start against the Marlins after just 3 innings after experiencing forearm tightness and has already been placed on the IL. But as for George Kirby, he's slowly rehabbing his shoulder inflammation and hopefully will be back by the end of May. Before I talk about the next player, I just want to say I feel so bad for Chris Bryant. The Rockies veteran outfielder is once again out for an extended period of time with his chronic back illness. It's really unfortunate to see what happened to the man who brought so much joy to Chicago. Finally, to end off, let's touch on the reigning AL Rookie of the Year, Luis Gil, who has missed the entire month of April with a right lat strain. Gil just started throwing at the end of April and has a long way to go. But if the Yankees intend on making a deep postseason run, they're just hoping he'll be back by the All-Star break. But that's enough injury talk for 1 month. Now it's time to talk about how May will shape up. May is going to be a big month for the Red Sox in terms of calling up top prospects. Roman Anthony, the #1 position player prospect in all of baseball, missed the opening day roster strictly due to how much depth the Red Sox have in their outfield. But he's been completely undeniable in AAA. Just look at his baseball prospectus page. It's all red. 98th percentile OBA, 95th percentile batting average, 99th percentile slug, 97th percentile exit velocity, 96th percentile max exit velocity, 99th percentile barrel percentage, 95th percentile hard hit percentage, 93rd percentile chase rate. This kid is unbelievable. And keep in mind, he just turned 20 years old. They also have Marcelo Meyer, who is another top 10 prospect in baseball, who just won International League Player of the Week, hitting over 400 and having an OPS north of 1500. For those reasons, I think the Red Sox call up both of these kids in the month of May. I also want to touch upon Nick Kurtz, the first baseman the A's just called up recently. I know he's been struggling out of the gate, but the underlying metrics are just insane. insane. So keep an eye on this kid. I promise you, in about 2 to 4 years, he will be a household name. Also, we might have a new fastest man in baseball. Chandler Simpson, the Rays rookie outfielder, swiped 104 bags over the course of his entire 2024 minor league system. That's 104 stolen bags in 110 games. He already has 3 in the big leagues and is currently on fire, boasting an OPS plus of 161. Keep an eye on Simpson. He has already accumulated a .8 B WAR in 8 games. Now, sticking with rookies, we all know about Roki Sasaki, but what about Jackson Jobe? The 21-year-old was the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 draft and has been lights out his rookie season. He has an ERA hovering in the mid-2s, and his stuff is just electric. The Tigers rotation looks stacked with this kid in the middle of it, but nothing will ever match that legendary 2013 Detroit rotation, and that's for certain. But that's enough prospect talk. What else is there to look forward to in May? Well, if you're an Orioles fan, I think you have a lot to look forward to. The bats cannot stay this cold the entire season. It just won't happen, especially with Gunnar Henderson. The guy just put up a 9 B WAR season last year. There's no chance he remains this cold. As for the pitching side, if they want to compete in a top-loaded AL East, they'll have to make a move to get some arms before the end of the month. I touched on it briefly before, but the situation is kind of similar for the Padres. Aside for Fernando Tatis, nobody on the team is really hitting that much. But that is going to change very soon, especially with Jackson Merrill due to come off the IL in May. Plus, there's literally zero chance Dylan Cease finishes the season with an ERA in the 5s. He will get better, and I think that's going to happen in May as well. Heading back over to the AL East, I hate to be repetitive, but in May, just watch Aaron Judge. Like, seriously, the guy is raking and is hitting over 400. Don't just watch to see greatness, watch to see if he can maintain this. Because last season, he did. If you can recall, last year, Aaron Judge started off the season slow before turning it on in early May. After May 4th, Judge hit over 350 with an OBP nearing 500. Keep in mind, this was also after a slow start that brought down his season totals. Judge is on fire to start the season, and if he can do what he did last year, then early indicators point towards Judge having an even better season than his legendary 2022 year. So as a result, I am now creating a term called Judge Watch. Basically, if he's up at bat, go watch. Now let's head over to the West Coast, specifically Sacramento, which honestly is still weird to say. I wish the A's were still in Oakland. Anyways, the A's are 500, which is genuinely shocking. I know they made some moves this offseason, like signing Luis Severino and Luis Arias, but wow. At the time of this video, the A's are only 2 games back in the AL West. And if they make any trades or Nick Kurtz starts going off like projected, don't be shocked if the underdog A's make a run this year. The only downside would be seeing meaningful baseball games being played in a AAA stadium. But oh well. Speaking about historically bad teams, the Colorado Rockies are currently on pace to win less than 30 games. We thought the 2024 White Sox were bad, but oh my god. The Rockies have just fallen off a cliff this season, and only 2 players on the entire team have an OPS plus north of 100, meaning everybody but 2 players on the team are worse than a league average hitter. Also, don't even get me started on the pitching. There are only 2 pitchers with 10 innings pitched or more on the big league roster with an ERA under 3, and both of them are relievers. It'll be fun to see whether or not the 2024 White Sox or the 2025 Rockies will be worse. But if I had to guess as of right now, I'll go with the 2024 White Sox. Finally, I want to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, because honestly, I have no clue what they're going to do. Right now, they're slightly under 500, and after trying to trade Nolan Arenado in the offseason, he's still on the roster. Try and look out for any rumblings on an Arenado trade in May if the season doesn't get much better for St. Louis. But more importantly, I think the Cards could be above 500 and fight for a wild card if the arms just get a little bit better. The bats aren't bad. As of right now, Brendan Donovan leads the NL in batting average with 359, and 6 players on the roster have an OPS plus of 100 or more. But like I mentioned, the pitching isn't anywhere near that level, as no starting pitcher on the roster has an ERA under 3. The Cardinals are going to be a fun team to watch the rest of the season to see which direction they go. But for some reason, I really do feel like they'll turn it around in May. But that that's all for now. This is the first monthly recap of the season, and I hope you guys did enjoy it. Since this is the first recap of the season, any feedback would be appreciated. But more importantly, what did I miss? Were there any injuries you thought were important? Maybe you had more fun facts or stats that you think I should have mentioned, or you think the power rankings were wrong and I should have included a team or gotten rid of a team. Either way, tell me what you think in the comments, and also tell me what you're looking forward to in the month of May and of course the rest of the season. And don't forget to subscribe for more hard-hitting baseball analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.